ये दौलत भी ले लो, ये शोहरत भी ले लो, भले छीन लो मुझसे मेरी जवानी, मगर मुझको लौटा दो ये बचपन का सावन, वो कागज की कश्ती, वो बारिश का पानी. Take away my wealth, take away my fame, snatch away my youth if you may, but please return me the monsoon of my childhood, those paper boats, those drops of rain. These are lines from a famous ghazal written by Sudarshan Fakir and sung by Maestro Jagjit Singh, which tug at million heartstrings, depicting what we miss when we grow up. If you're already guessing what we are about to do in this episode, maybe you're right. We are here to talk about our childhood in a language our tongues spoke the first words. Before we dive in, let me welcome Priyanka Srivastava from Singapore, Somsubhra Banerjee from Bangalore, and for this episode, we have Lubna Yusuf joining us from Mumbai. And you, my dear friends, hello and welcome to the third episode of Elysian Conversations, the home we carry. Hello, Priyanka. Hello, Shom. Hello, Lubna. I hope you've been fine.
Yeah, fine.
Hi, Monorina. Doing good, doing good.
I'm
How
so
about
happy to
you?
see you all. And I think we'll have a very, very interesting conversation right now.
Yes.
So let me start with Priyanka. You know what? For whatever reason, English has become our second skin. We are doing everything, speaking and talking in English, especially when in an official environment. But I did surprise myself when I wrote my first poetry in Bengali. So tell me, how is it important for you to have Hindi, since that's your mother tongue, when you write your poetry? Priyanka?
Yeah, I feel I connect to myself more when I write in my mother tongue. Then my thoughts are real and I'm closer to myself and it connects to my roots. So I prefer writing in Hindi most of the time.
Is it because it's poetry and poetry, as they say, is the song of the soul?
Yeah, mostly my poems, yeah, are in Hindi. If it's essay, I write in English, but poems mostly are. I prefer, even when I'm sad, I prefer to write in Hindi.
I think that completely goes
Yeah.
with what we want to talk about here. Lubna, your take on this?
Yes, I agree with what Priyanka was saying. And also, for me, especially, Urdu is the way I can informally, express my most intimate thoughts, which I never thought I could, actually put to words. Sometimes, our thoughts are not uh, actually, we're not able to express properly in words. So, while growing up, I had the privilege of a grandmother who would recite poetry. She would break into nazms and ghazals. And that time, I didn't know that these are very famous. And I actually had a very lyrical, poetic upbringing that way, and that's why somehow it's embedded in my psyche. And when I want to express, or when I want to write specifically a poem, not a story or a longer piece, maybe Urdu comes more naturally to me.
I guess I understand what you say by this. Shom, you seem to have a very different experience from us. Can you just share why?
Um, so yeah, so my thought process is for some reason it always comes in English. I get all those English words, I write them first, and then if there is a scope for translation, there are very few pieces which I really think should be translated to Bengali because my mom used to write Bengali poems, so I do it. But yeah, I don't know, maybe because I was too exposed to Enid Blyton's and J.K. Rowling and Khaled Hosseini. I think too many writers who I used to read from our library. That does not mean I did not read Bengali books. I have, I don't know, sitting on my desk at this moment. I'm reading it again. So, but yeah, I cannot tell you a very specific reason, but till today it's the same thing. If I think something, it comes in English first for some reason.
I understand. Um, Priyanka, did you write your first poem in Hindi? Ever the first one you wrote? Did you write it in Hindi?
I don't remember when I wrote my first poem because I was not a poet, I just started scribbling something. So I'm not sure about it, but
The scribbles were generally in Hindi or in English?
English,
In
English.
English. Okay. So when you wanted to give it a format, maybe give it a shape, it suddenly became Hindi for you?
I just realized it, that I can write in Hindi, but it started with English for me.
Lubna, was your first poem in Urdu?
So actually, I am a very young poet. So I don't, my first poetry, I think when I was in nursery or something, I was a very lyrical child, I can say. So first one was in Bengali for some reason because I was growing up in Calcutta and we were hearing a lot of verses to learn Bengali. But I don't remember, or maybe I can't even really call it a real poem. But very soon, we started learning Urdu at home. We were forced to learn Urdu at home, I can put it that way. And those, Urdu texts are very beautiful. They're almost artistic, like they look very different from English texts, the alphabets. So I used to, write something and used to try to make some poetry out of it. And my very first actually piece, I remember, was in class 7 or 8. It was called Salvate and it was in Urdu. And later I submitted it in some poetry contest in Residency College, in fact, and it won. Okay. So when you were talking about this, I had forgotten about this, and then later I dug into the memories. I found.
Yeah, because I read you and I know it's no surprise that your poems win awards. Shom, your first poetry was in English.
Yes, for
Do
sure.
you remember anything, scribbling
Yeah,
anything?
yeah. I remember it specifically because it was, I mean, I installed the Medium app a day back and then I was thinking, what should I write? I came across this poetic form called haiku and I was fascinated by it. I went to office and throughout all the meetings, I only thought about how can I write a haiku poem. And at that time, I was in Germany, it was snowing. So yeah, I found some words and yeah, so my first poem was a haiku.
That's very
Ah,
interesting.
Yeah,
If you're introduced to a subject in a way it inspires the language, obviously you take that language because there
correct.
aren't many haikus in Bengali or
Yes.
Urdu or Hindi.
And
Yeah,
I think
that's very
Lubna
interesting.
writes these monokus. So when I started reading her, I came across this monoku and I was like, oh, this is interesting. That's very interesting. I think.
Yes, that's
That's
great.
how it.
yes, I have a book of
Uh,
haikus. Yeah, and
Yes, yes,
yes, it's very interesting, lovely form.
it's a lovely
true,
form. Yeah.
true. Maybe that explains why you write more in English than Bengali show. Uh, so let me come back to Priyanka again. Priyanka, what are you reading for us today? And if you can tell us from where this poetry has come to you.
Okay, I'm reading a poem called वो किताबी सपने, and it's inspired from my childhood memories and the changes which has happened with time in my parents, in me, and the changes which I see in my son. So, in short, it's about time and the changes which we carry. Yes, about my childhood. I'll start with the poem. It's titled वो किताबी सपने. वो पुरानी सी छत और वो दरारें दीवार में, वो कहानियां जो हमने चुनी थी बारिशों में, वो नादान सी खुशी जो मिलती थी गुड़िया के बाल में, वो बचपन के दिन जो अभी भी आजाद हैं. ये भी भूल जाएंगे हम, फिर भी लिख दिया. ये बस एक याद है जिसको कैद कर लिया. बैठो मेरे साथ इससे पहले हम वो नज्म बन जाएं. चलो मेरे साथ इससे पहले हमारी मंजिल बदल जाए. ये जिंदगी मेरी नहीं है, फिर भी हमने मोहब्बत की. ये आकाश हमारा नहीं है, फिर भी उसे छूने की हिम्मत की. वो वक्त का निशान दिखता है उनके चेहरे पे. मेरा कुछ भी नहीं, फिर भी मैंने यादों को अपना किया. वो सुनते हैं हमें उस नज्म की तरह जिसे वो लिख नहीं सकते. एक आईना की तरह पढ़ते हैं वो पन्नों को. अब हम दूर रह के भी हैं और पास, उन्हें पता है हम सीख लेंगे जिंदगी के राज. रुको रात के रंगों से रोज हम कहते हैं, हर सुबह एक नया राग जगाता है हमें सपनों से. चांद के पीछे भागो प्रियंका, पर यह मत भूलना, ये नज्म जो तुमने लिखा है बस एक सपना. So that's the Hindi. I'll read the English one.
Yeah, please.
It's titled The You in Me. Sorry. The old terrace and the cracks on the walls. The stories I cemented with the raindrops. The careless laughter which resonated is still in my mind. The childhood poetry which I carry with me all the time. This too will be forgotten, still I wrote the rhyme. This is just a memory which I tried to inspire. Sit with me before I become that poem to treasure. Walk with me before we change our destination. This life is not mine, still I love to romance it. The sky is not mine, still I have it. The hands of time I can see in their face. Nothing is mine, still I hold the fragrance. They hear me like a poem which they can't write, a mirror in which they were trapped once upon a time. They aged and I withered, together we sigh. They know I too will learn the mysteries of life. Stay, I tell the night colors before they fade. Morning is a new song which awakes. Chase the moon, Priyanka, but don't be enticed. Dream, but don't be lost in the rhyme. Thank you.
This is a beautiful poem, and you remind me of the famous Albert Camus quote, where he says, "To create is to live twice." I
Mm.
think every time we write about something, about our past, about our childhood, we are actually reliving that moment, and that's the beauty of writing poetry. Lubna, I'll come to you. What do you think about Priyanka's poem?
It's such a deeply emotive piece, and also I can relate to it, especially because as a woman and as girls, um, we have two sets of homes always. One that we leave behind, and we also visit our mother's homes. And then, these kind of homes that are so intimate and play such an important integral part of our understanding of ourselves later. And Priyanka's poem totally brings me back to that place, that emotional, you know, um, uh, duality that we go through. That, what is it that, we miss so much? Even though we grow up and go back to that home, it's still not the same. Something is missing. There's a place which, we keep missing. And as we grow older, that somehow becomes even more profound. And it was so beautifully captured by your poem.
True.
Really.
And I also love this, sweet melancholy, the tone
Mm.
which she always has, whenever she's writing poetry. I love that. Shom, your take on Priyanka's poem?
I think firstly it was a very profound. I mean, I felt I was there, especially that part where she says that chase the moon and go for the moon, but
How
that
she ends, yeah.
yes, that's so good. I mean, I was visualizing that kind of that those lines, and yeah, I mean, it was very good. And there's a certain kind of a poise in how she delivers. So I think
Yes,
that's
you're
good.
very true, very
Yeah.
true.
Thank you.
Okay, that was a beautiful poem, Priyanka. That was
Thanks
a
a
good
lot.
start to our poetry reading. Now let me come to you, Lubna. What do you have for us? And just tell us a little from where this poem originated.
Yes, so this is a Hindi Urdu poem that I wrote in 2015. It's from my yet unpublished book called Sukoon. I have it for you. Okay. And the text is
The cover is
in
beautiful,
Urdu.
very nice.
I hope that it gets published soon. Yes. So, like Priyanka or me too, I spent a large amount of my childhood with my grandmother. So this poem stems from that one particular rainy afternoon. There was a memory triggered by a treasure hunt that I went on, and I found a little treasure box. And then much later, as an adult, when I revisited that home, I found that treasure box again, and how I met myself as an adult through that box on that rainy afternoon is what this poem is all about.
Wow.
And it's
Yeah.
called Ek Ghaneri Raat. Okay. एक घनेरी रात आई संग बूंदों को ली खजाना खोजते फिरते थे जो हम बचपन में मिट्टी के खेल में, आज उसी मिट्टी की खुशबू से वो बात याद आ गई। एक दफा कंचे जमा करते करते जो बक्स मिला था, हमने आज भी बड़ा संभाल के रखा है उसे। यही बरामदे वाली अलमारी के निचले खाने में देखना मिल जाएगा। इतने बरस बीत गए, सो थोड़ी मैल जम गई होगी, लेकिन आज भी उतना ही प्यारा है जैसे उस रोज था। एक काली अंधेरी रात भर रखी है उसमें, जो आपने हमें दी थी। बड़ी देर लगी ये समझने में कि वो अंधेरा भी एक तोहफा था।
Wow, beautiful.
Yes, so in English, for our readers worldwide, a dark, dense night. A dark, dense night arrived, carrying raindrops in its arms, the kind we once played with, digging through the earth, searching for a childhood treasure. Today, the scent of that soil brought back a memory. Once, while gathering marbles, we found a small box. I've kept it safe even now, tucked in the bottom shelf of the cupboard by the veranda. Look closely, you'll find it. So many years have passed. A little dust has settled, but it's still as dear as it was that day. Inside it is a dark night, pitch black and silent, the one you gave me. It took me a long time to understand that even that darkness was a gift.
That is, you just took me away, to some plane. It was really
The
great.
ending was
It
goosebumps.
was like, yeah, I was just a little slightly transported.
Yeah.
Beautifully, very beautifully done. And especially when you talk of darkness in its beauty, I think they are the best poetry, where
Hmm.
we are talking about darkness in our poetry. Shom, what do you think of Lubna's
Oh,
poetry?
I was telling you, right? The ending was goosebumps. It was actually goosebumps. The last ending
Yes,
lines,
yes.
I was like, oh, I mean, I haven't read this also. I think if you have published
Yeah,
it, I'm
this
not
is
sure,
in
Lubna.
Silver. You can check
Uh,
out Silver.
Yeah,
Check
it's
out
in the
the
soul.
poem. This is in
oh,
Silver.
it's there. Okay,
Yeah,
then it's my miss. But this was really good. I mean,
it's really
again, the imagery, the way she went into the poem, especially. I mean, the English one, of course, it's good, but the one in your vernacular language, I think that again has that, I think, a special edge, I would say, over the English any day. Again, I loved how she recited it.
absolutely. Priyanka, what do
Yeah,
you
it
think?
reminded me of my home again because whenever I go, I see those familiar objects and the memories which, associated with them. And the box, I got a box from my hometown this time, so I could relate to it. I mean,
Yeah, I
bring
think we
back,
all have this box. Even my mother has one box, the boredom,
yeah,
and she
Yes.
doesn't share it with anyone. It's like her precious gift.
yeah.
So, yeah, there's so much, so much, so many years of childhood, of memories. They are just embedded in that small box, and how beautiful that concept is. That box over time becomes poetry. I think it has happened with both Lubna and Priyanka, and sometimes with me also. Uh, Shom, let me come to you. Do you want the English one to come first because that's your first language?
Mm, yeah, I think maybe the English one goes
Yeah.
first.
Be comfortable whichever way you want to. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go with the English one first. So again, I mean, this again is very deeply rooted in nostalgia. I keep reminiscing all the years spent by with grandparents mostly. Um, so when I see the old Calcutta in black and white nowadays, I mean on Instagram and anywhere, there's so many reels and yeah, then this took birth from one of those Instagram reels. But yeah, the name of the poem is "The Package of Nostalgia." A package at the door today. No stamp, no name, just plain. I pressed the switch, and there she was, my grandmother, laughing in her garden as hibiscus blooms swayed to her joy. Then the clink of my father's keys as he entered every evening, bringing the scent of rain and lozenges in his pockets. The school bell at dusk, that gentle clang, that meant it was time to run home. Mud on my knees, sunset in my breath. The creak of the swing that sang me to sleep before life asked me to grow up. The hush before a bedtime story, how the world stilled when the book opened, and my mother's voice becoming every character I needed. I sat by the package, barefoot, as the box of sounds unfolded my past like an old mixtape that remembered everything I had forgotten. So that was the English one, and I apologize in advance because the Bengali translation might not be that good, but let me go ahead with it. Not very well versed with translations again. So the Bengali one is called Ek Baksha Sriti. It goes like this. আজ দরজার সামনে এক পার্সেল, না কোনো ডাক টিকিট, না নাম, শুধু লেখা খোলো। আমি সুইচ টিপতেই দেখি ঠাকুমা দাঁড়িয়ে, তার বাগানে হেসে উঠেছেন, জবা ফুলের দল দুলছে সেই হাসিতে। তারপর বাবার চাবির টুংটাং শব্দ যখন তিনি ফিরতেন সন্ধেবেলা, সাথে থাকতো বৃষ্টির গন্ধ আর পকেট ভরা লজেন্স। স্কুলের ঘন্টা ঢং 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 ঢং, শেষ বিকেলের আলতো ডাক যা বলতো এবার ছোট বাড়ির দিকে, হাঁটুতে কাদা, নিঃশ্বাসে সূর্যাস্ত। দোলনার হালকা শব্দ যা আমাকে ঘুম পাড়াতো বড় হওয়ার দায় আসার আগে। ঘুমানোর আগে গল্প শোনার নীরবতা, যেখানে গোটা পৃথিবী থেমে যেত, আর বই খুললেই মায়ের কণ্ঠস্বর হয়ে উঠতো সব চরিত্র যাদের আমার দরকার ছিল। আজকে আমি বসে থাকি এই বাক্সটার পাশে, খালি পায়ে, যখন সেই শব্দের প্যাকেট আমার ফেলে আসা দিনগুলো খুলে ধরে, একটা পুরোনো ক্যাসেটের মতো যেটা সব মনে রাখে আমার ভোলা স্মৃতিগুলো। So, yeah, I think that
This
was
is beautiful. Let me tell you, I
the
was
translation.
feeling like, you've written something of nostalgia, which is very speculative in nature, because this idea of, going back and going forth, and the imaginary abstract concept of having a cassette which holds your childhood. I think this is fantastic idea. You should be developing on this show. Really, I'm really impressed by the way you have, designed this poem. Very well done. Priyanka, what do you think about Shom's poem?
See, we all have, family albums in our childhood
Yes,
homes. So his poem reminded me of that because in some pictures I am not there. I can see my grandparents. In some
yes.
pictures I can see my parents, and that's how we see. Okay, I was like this. So that's how I could relate to it because I could find those memories looking back. We all carry those black and white memories with us. So it's like opening the family album and going through those
Yes.
memories, and it's very nicely written. So I
Very
really
well.
loved it. I mean,
Lubna?
Bengali was also nice. I could understand some words, but yes, English
Yes, of course. Yeah.
similar to Hindi.
Yeah, I just love the way he translated it. It's very modern,
Yeah, very.
very modern, and quite to the point. I don't know why you're so skeptic about your
Yeah.
Bengali. You should be writing and reciting more. Okay, Lubna, your take on Shom's poem?
Yes, I don't know. I like the Bengali version more. So I'm sorry, but I did. But specifically, I was very, very surprised with the sweetness and the innocence of a little boy, looking up at the grandmother and all the little things that you observe as a child. Specifically, the sounds which get amplified, which is so well put in this poem, all the sounds that he used to describe those little places, and the little details like the lozenges. We rarely get to hear those words these days, because we don't eat all that, but that exactly brings us,
Correct.
teleports us to that era. Grandmother's
True.
sari, and the hibiscus flower, so Calcutta, so comforting, and it's so innocent, so gentle, and I really love the phonetics used over there. Phonetically we were teleported, and also the reference of the barefoot. It can have so many layers to it. So that is really added to the flavor of the poem. So I really love that part. Well done.
Yeah, it was well done. Yeah. You know, it's we were all very excited that we would be reciting in our mother tongue. Uh, whatever be the reason today, how the writing world is, probably we are not left with much choice if you're not writing in English, because if we have any wish to go to the world and let them know like what we are doing, there's nothing wrong in it. There's absolutely nothing wrong in it. But then there are days you want to write in the way your tongue wants. And that is where mother tongue becomes very important.
Yes.
And what is interesting and what actually has triggered me to have this conversation here today is I'm seeing a trend, very very significantly profound trend, where this modern world of literature is hinging more towards translations. Because I recently read how Banu Mushtaq has got an International Booker Prize for Heart Lamp. It was translated by Deepa Bashi. So, but in a sense, in the heart of it, it is a Hindi book, which it's little unfortunate that we don't speak the same language worldwide. But now people are taking interest in indigenous language because it also brings out the essence of a very culture in a way English will never do. So it's important that we talk about those little things, those little threads, those nuances, and they sum up to become such a profound statement on our culture, how we live, and what our history has been. So there's no way we can ignore our mother tongue and allowing our soul to express in whatever language we first said our first word. So I think that was a very, very interesting, a very exciting conversation we had. Uh, that brings us to the end. There's anything you would want to add, Priyanka, Lubna, show what you think and what you felt?
Thank
Any
you for inviting us.
Thanks for doing this. That's all.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. So I think this brings us to the end, and we will be coming back with our next one soon. So stay tuned. Don't go away, and until that, be in health, keep writing, keep reading. Thank you again, Priyanka, Lubna, Shom, for being here with me. It's always a pleasure to have these chats and just record them for fun and share it with the world.
Yes.
Nothing can be more blissful than this. Thank you again. Thank you,
Thank you a
everyone,
lot.
for doing this.
Thanks, everyone.
We are coming back with soon. Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.